kids. This is Learning to Dad.
I'm the cool dad. That's my thing.
With Tyler Ross.
What I do have are a very particular set of skills.
I'm gonna have fun, and you're gonna have fun.
All right, howdy everybody. Learning to Dad with Tyler Ross. I'm Tyler Ross, and I am with Ryan Hurst, advertiser turned badass mover. And I was just telling him his Instagram. This is where'd it go? This is one of my favorite ones right here. Particularly the sound of track.
My cameraman, that was a lot of fun. So that's pretty recent, yeah. So.
Yeah, Rye Hurst on Instagram. It's a lot of fun. It's great to meet you, man. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're in Japan now.
That is correct. I'm in Osaka. I've been in Osaka, about 25 years now, I guess. So went to school over here, ended up staying, can't escape. So married, my wife is Japanese, and we have 2 kids, age 11 and 9. And like I was just saying, it's summer break. So my son is hanging out here with me at the gym, studio, man cave, whatever you want to call it. So
yeah, so GMB, Gold Medal Bodies, that was born in Japan, in Osaka?
Kind of. So I was actually involved with a different fitness organization before GMB. And so what I would do is I would go around the world teaching and whatnot. And I actually met Jarlo Ilano. We met online through this fitness organization. This is I don't even know how long, maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was out teaching. And during a break, during this seminar I was teaching, Jarlo was there too. And afterwards, we were in the car going home. And during one of the break, I was kind of messing around, doing my own thing. And in the car ride back, Jarlo was like, "Hey, man, you need to be teaching that stuff." And so in the car ride back, we came up with a company. And Jarlo named it Gold Medal Bodies. We just go by GMB Fitness now. But and so in that car ride back, basically, Jarlo was like, "Yeah, let's do a company." And so we started it. Here in Japan, though, Andy Fawcett, the 3 of us kind of started it together, to be honest, really. It was Jarlo and I, Jarlo basically came up with this idea, and Jarlo and I realized right away we can't run a company. And so Andy's, the brains behind the vision and things like that. So, it's grown. So we started, the 3 of us kind of started off just, I guess you'd say kind of at a whim and just trying to see how it would go. And bam, grew into this huge thing, and we're up to 23 full-time employees right now, which is pretty crazy. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And so we started it. When we started it, it was the goal really in the beginning was just so we could support our families. Yeah. That's what it was. And so, I started it when we started. I guess I'm 46 right now, so it's 9 years. We're on our 9th year, so almost 10 years ago. 36 years old, and I'd come off of I had surgery, reconstructive surgery. I completely blew my shoulder out in judo. I came over here for martial art for Japan, and I quit, and I was just focusing on the fitness side of things. And my daughter, my son was born at that time too. He's just born, and so very, very, very young. And so I'm like to my wife, "Hey, baby, going to quit my job and start this new company. It's going to be great." She was like, "Are you crazy?" But she supported me, and it worked out. Thank goodness. So, But GMB was really just in the very beginning. We just trying to relate to guys like us, guys who work, and it's not like they have all day long to do fitness. Yeah. They have a family, and they want to take care of their family, and they just want to be able to enjoy their life. And so that's really the focus of GMB. It still is. It's all about helping people to be able to do the stuff that they want to do, without that fear of thinking that they have to be doing the fitness. And so even though we are a fitness company, we kind of, think of ourselves more as an education company and helping people to better understand what they need for their life rather than tell them that they need to be working out a particular way or doing something that might not match their lifestyle. So
I relate to that. It's kind of the point of the podcast. There's no like handbook on your fitness or how to raise your kids. So like, let's share and figure out what's right.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Something you touched on that I'd love for you to kind of unbox a little bit is your transition from, I believe you were in advertising or marketing, into taking this new risk and being about the same time of having a kid. Like that takes kind of a sack to say, I'm going to stop doing what's paying the bills and go create something.
Right.
I mean, based on reading your story on your website, like you're so much happier and fulfilled now.
Oh yeah.
Take me on that journey a little bit.
Yeah. So actually, I graduated from college or uni, depending on where you are in the world. And my major was advertising and Japanese. I ended up working for a Japanese company for exactly 1 year.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this ain't going to work. Yeah. And during that time, I was actually it wasn't really the advertising department. It was more kind of like promotion kind of thing. It wasn't me. That was the first time in my life where I had not moved my body. Like I was so busy working for this Japanese company. Like I remember I would go in at 7 a.m. and because I was a Shinyu Shine, which is like new guy, right? And so over here, the new people, the first year in the company, they would go and have to clean the office and get ready for everybody else. So work would start at 8. It would literally work until like last train. And I did that 6 days a week. Yeah. It was just killing me. And there's no time for anything else. And after a year, I quit and ended up working at a martial arts complex, Shrine, and getting back into my martial art and the fitness side of things. So even though I did, graduate in advertising, I really didn't have any experience. I had that 1 year of hell, but that was about it.
Yeah.
But then though, I was working for this martial arts complex, this Shrine, for about 8 years. And my boss at the time, then he was like, "Hey man, you need to be doing your own thing." He's like, you're doing great. Venture out, do this. So like no experience of running a business or doing anything like that. I started my own gym and started doing things like that. So it was kind of like jumping into the deep end. And so even though I had graduated with advertising, I didn't know anything at all. And luckily though, I had some people around me that helped out a lot. Andy was actually my client. That's how we met. And so through the fitness side of things, again, I got really involved with this other fitness organization. Ended up working my way up to becoming the program director in that particular organization. And that's what allowed me to travel throughout the world. And I was certifying people in that particular organization. Oh, wow. And then, I met Andy, and Andy was here in Osaka, and he was a client in the beginning. We became friends, and, he just has this amazing brain he gets it. I mean, that he gets it. Yeah. He does this thing. I'm good at, this. Jarlo's really good at this. And the cool thing is, coming back to your question, it wasn't a matter of me just simply like saying, "Oh, I'm just going to quit everything I'm doing and just jump in." I didn't quit my day job, actually. I still worked, and Jarlo still continued working as a physical therapist. Andy still continued working as a marketer, consultant for other people. And we continued actually to do that like 5 years into the company. So, I was, not just me, but Andy, Jarlo, and I were just busting our asses, just to do all this stuff. Thing is, when we started GMB, there wasn't any online fitness organizations out there. It was, so there wasn't. And so there were people doing things and like showcasing their services online, but it wasn't 100% online. So I think it's pretty sure, I'm pretty positive that we can say that we were pretty much like first 100% online only thing. We did have DVDs, but we got rid of those quickly. And what we learned was this, having that stock, quality control. There were so many mistakes in these DVDs, the manuals and stuff. So we just went 100% online and learned a lot. I would come up with the programming, show it to Jarlo, he would just be like, yay or nay, or let's tweak this. And then Andy would be like, hey, let's think about it this way, you know, as far as how we can advertise it and promote it. And, you know, Andy and Jarlo did all the emails, you know, answered all of the support questions. And then I would design it, had this old video camera that was new at the time, of course, but, you know, compared now, it's still the tapes, you know, and
Oh yeah.
I would shoot it. I would edit it, put it up on YouTube, and just the three of us did literally everything. And there's no way I could have done that by myself. And so what I'm getting at is, you know, looking at the experiences, the three of us, what do we have in common was the fact that we were teachers.
Okay.
And, you know, Jarlo in the physical therapy side of thing, his was teaching in the sense of he's a doctor of physical therapy. And so he was working with patients one-on-one every single day. And Andy's background here in Japan is he was an educator here in Japan. And my background as far as teaching fitness, and, you know, that was my part-time job when I was in high school. I would practice gymnastics, you know, and then right after I would teach. That was my part-time job. So our big thing that kind of like connects us is the fact that we're educators, and we've taught so many different people that we looked at what was out there and we said, you know what, we think let's not maybe say a better way, but there wasn't the kind of thing out there that we wanted to be sharing. So we decided, okay, well, let's share it in this way. And so we've always tried to refine the way that we not only teach, but the way that we also present this to people. And we just wanted to be real. It's three people. It's not me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even the three of us, to be honest, right now. It's all about our clients and the people coming into GMB and just being true to ourselves. And first and foremost, I mean, you know, we're dads, you know.
All three of you are dads?
All three of us.
That's
all
awesome.
three of us.
Yeah.
Jarlo has twins. Andy has little girl, you know, and I've got 2 kids. We're all very happily married. You know, we know that our wives are in charge of everything and the boss, so we're cool with that, you know. But the thing is, it's, you know, working together, and it's because it's the three of us, it's also taught us a lot about communication, as well as sacrifice, to be honest. Because if we only did it the way that I wanted, or only did it the way that Andy wanted, or only did it the way that Jarlo wanted, then we wouldn't be around anymore. And so I think that's a big thing in marriage as well, right? You know, it's like, it's give and take. It's not, oh, it's going to be my way or the highway, because if it's that way, then you won't be married anymore, basically, right? So it's kind of, you know, similar in the sense that, you know, it's not all roses all the time with Andy, Jarlo, and I. We fight and things, and that's a good thing, because we always move beyond that, and we look beyond that, and we realize that it's more than just us. And so we work with each other in order to make it happen. And, you know, our staff, like I mentioned, we've got this big staff now. It's like our kids. There's certain, you know, I got to be honest, if they're listening, you know, sorry, but there's certain things they do where we're just like, seriously, you know. But the thing is you love them and you want to help them. And so that's what you do. And you just try and be a better dad for them, you know, as a boss, as a leader. And, you know, just like going into having, you know, I don't know about you, but when I found out my wife was pregnant and I was going to be a dad, I freaked out. I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. I don't know how to be a dad, right? But the thing is, it's like anything. You just do the best you can and you learn from your mistakes. And you're going to make mistakes. We've made a lot of mistakes in GMB, a lot. But I think that's a good thing, because, you know, it's not about like, it's about making mistakes faster and learning from them faster so that you don't do that same mistake later. And I think that's a big reason why we're still around, is that we've looked at what worked well and what didn't work well at all. Yeah. And move beyond that ego. And we're just like, all right, we got to change this because we don't know what the hell we're doing. So let's figure out what we need to do and move forward. So,
well, do you have any recommendations or tricks to help people in like a collaborative business environment communicate better? I know like husbands and wives. I just talked to one of my best friends.
Yeah.
They go to therapy, you know, to help
Yeah.
grease the kids, you know, like how.
Yeah, man. Well, I will say, like, with my wife and I, something that we really focus on is before we got married, we had one big argument. We actually split up. But the thing is like, we got back together because we were just like, okay, what was going on? What was the real reason that this argument happened? And then when we got married, we decided, okay, we're going to talk. We're actually going to say, all right, what is really going on? And so there are a lot of times where I would bring my work home with me, and she knew that. And so she was like, all right, you're being a real dick right now. And she's like, this is not the issue. She's, what's going on with work? And so then we would work that out. So I think it's similar with work as well. I think the big thing is figuring out what you're really good at. And I'm talking about work right now. Yeah. Figure out what you're really good at and what you're not good at. Okay. And there are times in a business, if you're just starting off a business, you're going to have to wear many, many hats. And as I mentioned in the very beginning of GMB, Andy Jarlow and I, we had to be able to pretty much do everything. So it wasn't, yes, I was shooting the videos. Yes, I was editing them. But Jarlow and Andy also knew a little bit about how to edit those videos. They knew a little bit about how to shoot and things like that because we all had to. Yeah. As you start to get better, though, it's one of those things where you need to find a person that's really good at the stuff that you suck at. Yeah. And then as well, you do need to know a little bit about that so that you can communicate. And so it can be very easy to say, okay, this is what I'm really good at, and this is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people might do that. And we all think that our thing is the most important. But you have to understand that it all needs to work together in order to be successful. And so that means that you need to listen and you need to be open to what that other person is saying. And it doesn't mean that you need to agree with everything that they're saying all the time, but you just need to think about, okay, what is the big picture that we're after here? And sometimes that means not maybe doing some of the things that you wanted to do before. Mm-hmm. And making, I don't want to say a sacrifice necessarily, but say, okay, I'm willing to try this and see how this goes. And the cool thing is, like, for example, there are times where you're going to realize that there's no point in you actually saying anything. If you don't have anything worth sharing that's going to be, constructive to that particular conversation, mm-hmm. then don't.
It takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, it really does. It's tough. And I got to be honest, there are times where I should probably say more. But again, a great example is Andy's our CEO now. And so, he's been our CEO for officially, he's always been the CEO, but we never considered ourselves a company, so it was like CEO, what the hell? But yeah, he's a CEO now. And so he's the one who makes those big decisions. And so Andy Jarlow and I will talk about it, but it's him, that is the head of a company, if you will, with making that. And then, understanding that it has to be that one person as the head, mm-hmm. even though, yeah, Jarlow and I in the car, we started GMB, but really we brought Andy in to run the company, let him run the company. Yeah. And that can be really tough. And it's an ego kind of thing. And again, it's not to say that we don't have opinions, but it's trust in the process, I guess, is what I'm really trying to get at. There's a big thing that we talk about in GMB, and that process isn't just in business. It's in when you're exercising, when you're doing the fitness. It's what is the plan? Okay. Spend time working and figuring out exactly what you want. What do you really want? Figure out how you can get there. Figure out what's going to help you to get there following your values and what's important to you. Construct that plan and then follow the plan. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people, though, they start to do that plan and they're like, oh, wow, this doesn't feel right. Or in the exercise side of things, they do it for a couple of weeks. They start to get bored with it. So they want to do a new plan. And then they try and do a new plan, and they're just doing something different. And then they're like, oh, okay. And they do something different. And the thing is they never get to where they want to go because they're not really sticking with it and trusting in that particular plan. And so that's why, like in GMB, what we'll do is our work cycles, the way that we work, this is our goal. And our goal is not like 10 years down the road or 5 years or anything like that. We have these short spurts, if you will, where we can actually take time to go, okay, this is where we want to go. We're going to do it. Let's see if this is going to work out. We give it enough time to make sure that we can test it. And then if we realize this is not working, then we can tweak it slightly. But we don't just throw it away and start over. And I think, that's a huge thing, is that communication. Ego can get in the way of things. Where are you really after? And by goals for our company, a lot of our goals aren't necessarily they're not. Money's important. You've got to have money and things like that. But a lot of the things are our values, and making sure that we're sticking with our values, making sure that our main goal of, us getting GMB and spreading the love. Yeah. And that to us is our big overall goal. So how can we achieve that rather than just saying, how can we hit $1 gazillion next year? You know what I mean? Yeah. So again, that money, you need to have that money to keep things running. That's very important. It's very important. And if you're not hitting your numbers, because we track everything, like crazy. But the thing is, it's okay, why is this not working? And then sometimes it's not just that number issue. It's that, looking at your kids, like I mentioned, our staff, okay, are they happy? Are they getting what they need in order to accomplish and perform their job? Do they believe in it? Are they still, again, as I mentioned earlier, happy with what they're doing? And of course, happiness can be very different in terms of what's going on, but take care of your family first. When you take care of your family, then things are going to be okay. And so that's what we've always really focused on, because it's always been a family-oriented company. Yeah. And I am kind of rambling, and I apologize, but
no, please.
But yeah, this is just kind of how it is for us. And so we're not your typical company where we're just trying to bring people in and just be like, yeah, we need somebody to run this. Okay, great. And then we just turn them loose. They have to be a fit for our company. And unfortunately, we've had, especially over the past couple of years, we've had people who come in who are lovely people, but just weren't a fit for GMB. Yeah. And that's great, because we would, rather have a person working at a place that fits them and works for them instead of having them be unhappy and not a fit for what we're after. So it's like that with the family too. If something's wrong with my son, I'm not just going to be like, just do your job, kid. It's like, okay, what's going on? Yeah. What is the real underlying issue that's going on here? And then you help them out, make sure that they're able to be a kid instead of a little robot.
Yeah, that's I like the kind of way you painted your company as being a family, like the kind of a patriarch in a sense. Sometimes you tell them what to do, sometimes you help them do something, and sometimes you get out of the way and let them be awesome. And
we do have a lot of, sorry to interrupt. And don't get me wrong, we're not all sitting around the campfire singing Kumbaya. Even within the family, you're going to have certain dynamics and things like that. But that's a good thing, because we're all able to communicate. And I think that's really what makes it work.
And so is your company based in Japan? Is that where your 32 employees are?
No. We're 100% online company. I'm located in Osaka. Andy, CEO, is located in Tokyo. He just happened to move back to Japan. He was in Hawaii for quite a while. Jarlo, COO, he's located in Seattle. Oh, and wow. Then, and so I'm trying to think, we don't have anyone who lives in the same city. So all over the world, literally all over the world. And, Europe, United States, Canada, all over.
So these are employees that service the company, not necessarily certified trainers.
No, yeah, both. And so because of what we do, because it is a fitness organization, so for example, support is huge in our company in terms of if you send a message to us, you're going to have a live person respond to it. And that person they're specialized in what they do. So for example, if you send us a question related to a training question, then one of my trainers is going to answer that, a trainer who's on staff. Yeah. And so, the other thing too is we encourage all of our staff members to actually go through what we call the apprenticeship. And so it's a 4-month process to become certified, to become a GMB trainer. Mm-hmm. It's not a weekend certification. You got to put in the time, really learn how to be the best instructor you can be. And so even though our staff members might not teach in terms of go out and open their studio and teach that way, we do encourage all of our staff members to go through that process, because like anything, they need to know what's going on in GMB. And so anytime you get a reply regarding training or any of the fitnessy side of stuff, it's from one of our certified trainers who's on staff. Yeah.
I'm very impressed with the program. I have a real estate company. I do this podcast. I got 2 kids, lots of other stuff, but I'm a workout junkie, and I got to go get certified. And if I was going to get certified, I would either do it with you or Check. And
Paul Check. Great. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much.
I just think so highly of what you're trying to do, what you are doing, and just the way that you guys move, is amazing. I mean,
thank you.
Find a 25-year-old that can move like you and a lot of your students and trainers. So.
Well, I really appreciate it. Again, I mean, we're not your typical fitness kind of, organization where you just go to the gym and work out. It's really just trying to help people move better. That's it. That's really it. And, whether it be surfing, whether it's snowboarding, rock climbing, just playing with your kids, it doesn't matter. It's just like, what do you need? And I think that's unfortunately sometimes missing out there, and that's what we're just trying to do, is basically be like, all right, here's stuff that's going to help you to be able to do the other stuff in your life. And that's what it's about. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, talk to me about martial arts. I know you do judo, you do jiu-jitsu. I saw several other listed in your
I got again, I started martial art. Well, I did gymnastics. I started gymnastics very early age, and that was my thing until I was 18 years old. But even during that time, I got into martial arts. So I was studying martial art, and that's what really got me to Japan. Mm-hmm. And I came over to Japan. I was up in the northern part of Japan, a place called Niigata. I went to the university there, sister school. I went to a sister school as an exchange student, and I ended up staying. And that got me over here so that I could train martial arts, because I wanted to go deeper into it. So I was doing kendo and judo. And my kendo instructor just took a liking to me. I ended up moving in with his family. Mm-hmm. And so I was very lucky. It's called a uchideshi, kind of like live-in student kind of thing. Oh, wow. And thanks to that, my Japanese really helped me with my Japanese, but also martial art. And thanks to him, that also helped me for when, for getting my foot in the door to work at this particular martial arts complex here in Osaka. So, I graduated. I just went back to the United States for like 6 months, sister school exchange thing. So, you have to go back and finish up one semester, all that blah. But I was ready. I was like, let me just stay in Japan. So I went back, graduated, came right back. So I was working at the shrine. It was really cool because there were some of the top instructors in Osaka at this particular shrine, this martial arts complex at the time. And so I ended up partaking in pretty much, not all of them, but for the most part, a lot of those classes, because they needed someone to help interpret.
Yeah.
And so they would have a lot of people, especially from Europe, that would visit that wanted to participate in these classes, and they needed someone who could do this interpretation. And so I would show up in these classes, basically just get my ass kicked every single day for 8 years. But it was great. And so, like, I mean, you know, it's like anything, do something long enough and you're going to achieve a certain level. And so that's why I've got, you know, what, like 5 or so black belts just from simply doing all the stuff. So, you know, did that. Judo was my big thing. I just absolutely love judo. Olympic style judo I think it's good. It's changed a lot now. I mean, whatever. But I really enjoyed what's called Kosen judo, which is it's a little bit different. It was, you know, basically before the Olympic style judo. And so it's basically like you throw the guy on the ground and then you start grappling until somebody taps out. So that was basically what I really enjoyed. I was very lucky because I had the opportunity through my kendo that I worked with the police. And so that led to allowing me to work with the police team for judo. So I ended up going to a different place to do judo. I went to Minotoku, which is the police, I don't know what you call it in English, is horrible. It wasn't the headquarters, but it was just basically like, it was, you know, they had a really good judo team. So I did judo with them. And then I also go to the Osaka Castle. And so twice a week I would go and train it, which was amazing. Here's a guy from Wichita, Kansas, you know, walking and going to this castle to do judo. It was just so cool. And so I got to do that. And then got really into Shorinji Kempo, like third degree black belt. Yeah, third degree black belt. And that, it was just because doing it for so long. Yeah. And then, you know, did all of that. And ended up going into GMB, and it was kind of like, okay, my judo career was done because I blew my shoulder out. I did Shorinji Kempo, but it was one of those things where I needed to focus on the business and not getting injured. Yeah. And I was just too beat up and I was too exhausted. So I took a little break from martial arts for a little bit, but then I got back into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And that's really my passion now for martial art. And the thing is, again, it's like, I know I'm not going to be world champion or anything like that, and totally cool with that. Right now, it's not about the belt at all. And I can't say that. I mean, like a lot of people, like, they just say, oh, it's not about the belt, you know, whatever. But I mean, really, it's like, I don't give a shit anymore. Yeah. You know, I've been there. I've competed in judo and kendo and everything. And it was just like, I simply want to do it for the enjoyment, the pure enjoyment of it. And I want to be able to do it for as long as I can. And so that's why I only train once, maybe twice a week now. And the reason for that is there's other stuff in life that I want to be doing. And, you know, again, I used to train, like when I was doing martial art, I would train multiple martial arts and I was doing multiple practices a day. And I did this like almost 7 days a week for years. And again, it was one of those things where it's like, been there, done that. It was wonderful, but I got a family now. And you know, my son does jiu-jitsu with me sometimes, but he also likes to go rock climbing. So I make sure that we can go rock climbing, and my daughter does swimming and things like that. So there are other things in my life that I want to do. And so with GMB, that's really, I keep bringing it back to GMB, but my GMB allows me to continue to be able to do that. So it's kind of like the, what was that razor company? I'm not only the founder, I'm also,
was it
what was it?
Club? Was it that one?
No, it was like way back when. It was like, I'm not only founder, but I'm
Hair Club for Men.
Hair Club for Men is what it was. Yeah, it wasn't razor. Yeah. So it's like, but like I still like GMB for me is like, it allows me to continue doing this. And so that's kind of where it is. But martial art, yeah, it's Jarlo and Andy. You know, we've got that education background, but the thing is all from martial art. And so the three of us are, you know, martial artists. That's really what it's about. And martial art plays a huge part in GB. I mean, we don't advertise it as that or anything like that, but it has our martial art has such a profound influence on how we teach and how we've set things up in GMB. And if you are a martial artist, you probably see that within there. And so it's just a lot of fun, and even, Jarlo now, it's, even though we trained and we, competed for so long, our passions are a little different. They've changed. So like Jarlo right now, he mainly focuses on teaching women's self-defense. Andy's I think he's fifth degree black belt in Taido. And his thing right now is he's, looking more at moving into more of like a leadership role within Taido. So it's changed, and it's really cool as you age and how you can still be involved with things, but it's different than just the egocentric thing of wanting to like take a guy down and choke him out. That's still fun. I like doing that, but it's like, it's different now, So just like when you age with your kids, and so getting the kids involved and doing new things with them.
Yeah, I'm 10 classes into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I think I'm loving it. I'm hooked.
Good.
I tweaked my neck 2 weeks ago, but I'm taking private so the guy doesn't land on my neck. So
Good.
still
Good.
learning, but the personal growth in just 10 classes I can feel already.
Oh yeah.
So my question for you is going to be pretty specific in like how does martial arts impact your business? Not
Absolutely. That's a great
fitness part, but like how does a martial artist go be a great real estate agent or bowling alley attendant or shoe salesman or whatever?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, the one thing that I think that's great is the fact, and we can talk about this in terms of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for any of those out there who are listening, you'll get this right away. But by learning to be comfortable in an uncomfortable position, it allows you to get clarity in the sense that you don't rush and you into reacting a particular way. And so what you do is you can actually take the time and be comfortable to allow yourself to say, okay, what is my best option here? Rather than just lashing out and just freaking out. And, you know exactly what I'm saying. I mean, you're 10 classes in, and there are times where, I'm really also happy to hear that you're doing private lessons, because in the very beginning, that's when most people get injured. My advice to you also quickly, tap soon and tap often. Okay. Tap soon and tap often.
I say it out loud too.
Yeah, you don't want to get hurt. But it's an ego thing. And so that also happens with the business, instead of saying, okay, and taking a step back and really thinking about, all right, what is the best option here? And typically the best option is the simplest answer. And that's what some people, know, but they complicate things. And so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and martial art is the same. It's like there are all these fancy techniques and everything out there. But the thing is, okay, what are the tried and true, not even techniques, but concepts? And I think that's another big thing too in relation to martial art is it's not that sparkly little new technique out there. It's that concept. What is the concept behind how that works? Understanding that, looking at the foundational movements, whether that be for martial art, whether it be for business, okay? And if we're talking about anything, doesn't matter if it's business, martial art, learning a language, it's, okay, where do you need to start? What are the basics? And spend more time on those basics instead of jumping ahead into the next thing. Because so many people out there that are like, oh yeah, I want to do this, and they try and jump up here, but they're not ready for that. They're not even ready for like the next step yet. They still need to spend more time. So understanding also that it is going to take time and giving yourself, allowing yourself that time. So I like to say this, embrace the suck. And what I mean by this, a lot of people misunderstand what I mean is, it's not that it's going to be hard and you have to be hardcore and stuff. No, I'm not talking about that. Understand in the beginning, you are going to suck. You are not going to be good. Yeah. Embrace that. The quicker that you can say, okay, I suck, but in a positive way, okay? Not be down on yourself saying, oh, I'm a whore, not that. But be like, all right, I really suck at this. Why do I suck at this? Cool. What did I learn today? What is one thing one thing I learned today, and I'm not talking like the arm bar. I'm not talking about, I brought in $1 million. No, not that. But like, what is that one thing that you can take from today's lesson that you can apply to tomorrow's lesson that's going to help you to move forward? Suck faster. That sounds really bad the way I said it. But basically what I'm trying to say is understand that you are going to suck because you need to suck before you get good. Yeah. And a lot of people just try and rush through that. I would love to go back to being a white belt. There's no expectations, it's kind of, you still have that freedom, and, nobody expects anything of you. As you get a little higher and higher, people are kind of, but the thing is if we can also think about that and keep applying that as you get better. And, people talk about the beginner's eyes and blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Okay, I've heard it all. But it is really trusting in that process, understanding that you're going to suck. And then once you get to that next progression, that next level, understand it's going to be different. Yeah. And the cool thing, though, is when we progression is not up and then back down and sliding back down. It's an upward spiral. So as you come back to those basics, you're understanding those basics on a higher level, whether it be business, whether it be language, whether it be whatever. You're always coming back to those basics, and you'll have a deeper understanding of those basics because you're looking at it from a higher level. And so, especially in business, get comfortable being uncomfortable and really focus on the things that you just learned. Why did that happen that way? Because like anything, if you don't know, you don't know. Yeah. That's fine, but once you do learn something, figure out why. I don't know, like if you really want to look at business and you want to grow your Instagram followers, it's not a matter of just posting just good content, that's extremely important. Great content is extremely important, but why are people connecting with you? What is it about this particular post that is drawing so much attention? How can you use that to connect and help the viewers more? It's all about helping more people. Martial art is also the same. How can you help this person into a position so that you can choke them out? Right? So a lot of people think of it in the way of, how can I put this person in this? No. How can you lead that person into a particular position so that it's effortless for you and effortless for them to be able to do what you want? And it's always about the reframe for me. That's what I'm looking at. How can you reframe the way you look at something? Nothing is good or bad. It just is. But it depends on how you reframe it. And so when teaching, that's the same thing. I don't want to right now I'm talking a whole lot. But when I teach, I only give out one cue. I'm going to try and help that person, give them one thing to focus on that's going to hit the majority of all the stuff that I want them, to do, and make it easy for that person to be able to do that.
So now I'll ask that same question, but rather than business, how has martial arts informed your relationship with your wife or your kids? Like raising kids?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So this is great. You have to be able to adapt. You never know who's going to be standing in front of you when you need to use your martial art. In a perfect world, the person who's standing in front of you would be, I don't even know, like someone that you've trained with before, that you know exactly what they're going to do and you can deal with it. But the thing is it doesn't work that way. In martial art, it's simply, again, it's those concepts. Everybody talks about techniques, okay? But was it Mike Tyson? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the nose. It's like they go out the window. And so the thing is you need to understand, okay, what are those core concepts? And do you truly have mastery over them? And mastery, what I mean is I'm talking about the Japanese version of mastery, where today you've mastered something and gotten a better hold on it, and you're working towards always getting better understanding of that. So it's a never-ending process.
Yeah.
It's a never ending process. So using those concepts. So like, for example, in marriage, I think I know my wife until I don't. And I'm just like, oh shit. Okay. All right. Here's a new one. And it works the same way. It's like my daughter right now, she's 11 and she's going through girl changes, woman changes. And I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is territory for me. So like, you know, looking at the martial arts side of it, for me, it's basically like, all right, what can I do? I can make sure that I'm confident in the sense that I control the things that I know I can control, and I let go of the things that I can't control.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on that, man. I mean, we all have a hard time with that, but you know, it's just trying to control the things I can control and not control others, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So, you know, let them be them. And instead of me react to what's going on, I act accordingly. And again, I'm still horrible at it, but I don't know. Life would be so much easier if we could just all get on the mat. That's my way of looking at it, because I feel more comfortable being on the mat. I remember actually, here's a story. I can say this, like, this is years ago. This is like a couple years after I got married. And I remember my mother-in-law came to, and I was having a really hard time with business at the time. I mean, like failing miserably, like, it was so bad. I remember my mother-in-law. No, this was way before GMB.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, this is before I knew Andy or, you know, anything. So I remember my mother-in-law came to my judo match, and they came to a couple. And I remember one day we're sitting, it ended up just being the two of us, mother-in-law and I. And like, we had never really talked too much. I mean, my mother-in-law, you know, it's like, sat down and she was like, how come you can step on the mat and have so much confidence, but then off the mat be such a not horrible person, but do so horribly at business?
Yeah.
And I was just like, and she's like, it's awareness, it's your breathing. And it's like, what are you talking about? And she schooled me, and I'll never forget that. I mean, she was just like, you're not aware of what's going on. And I was like, holy shit. And that's the thing. It was like, I was so comfortable and I knew exactly what I needed to do on the mat, even though it was an uncontrollable situation in terms of I didn't know what the opponent was going to do.
Yeah.
I had a game plan and I knew what I could do. And so I just needed to learn how I could apply that off the mat. And that's something I'm still working on. And, you know, it's one of those things where, again, like I just said, I'm more comfortable moving and being on the mat than I am doing business and actually interacting with other people, which is kind of funny.
That's so cool that you've managed to find something that you can use those skills and make a living and support your family with.
Yeah, I am very lucky, man. I will say I am, you know, and I can't do anything else. I know that.
Yeah.
I mean, all I know is how to move. That's really it. I've done it my whole life, and I've just been very lucky that I have Andy and Jarlo that I was able to hook up with. They have the skills that I don't. Yeah. And we're able to work together, the three of us, and do this. So,
have your wife and kids bought into moving, or are your kids old enough to care? They move like
very, very active. Yeah. Very active. A lot of people, you know, were like, oh, wow, yeah, Ryan, you know, Mr. GMB, and you teach them. I'm like, I don't teach. Yeah. I don't. I'm not coaching my kids. I think the best way to help is to just by showing. And so, you know, just kids know exactly what you're doing. They're going to mimic you. If you're on your phone all day long, they're going to be on their phone or want a phone or something like that. If you're going to be moving around and enjoying life and doing things, they're going to be doing that too. So, you know, my wife and I are firm believers in just simply leading by example.
Yeah.
And again, we're not perfect at all. I mean, there are times where I'm just like, I just want to sit on the couch. I'm tired, you know, and that's great, whatever. But my kids are very active. My daughter's on the Junior Olympic swim team.
Yeah.
But again, I don't coach her. You know, that's not my job. So I just encourage her and do what I can. But
So
yeah.
this is a little off topic. I missed the segue into it, but I'm curious, like, because as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, the internet is democratized opportunity for people, and a lot of people want to be, influencers, and just like
Yeah.
authors were
Yeah.
influencers, back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
do you feel comfortable with that title? And if yes, how do you know?
No.
As a teacher,
No.
wouldn't you feel like you're an influencer?
I mean, so this is something that's been really tough for me. This is something actually that's been tough for GMB. I've never been the kind of person to like show off. I've never been the kind of person who's like, hey, look at me. Yeah, I'm like awesome. I have a really hard time with that. Andy and Jarlo, they used to always get on my case and like, dude, you need to be showing off more. You need more confidence, kind of thing. And again, it was one of those things where I'm like, it's never really been me to do that. Interestingly enough, over the past couple of years, I'm very comfortable with it, but I don't want to say showing off. I'm very comfortable with myself, if that makes sense. And so now, the big change for me, to be honest, was I stopped giving a shit what people thought of me.
Yeah.
And I care in how I can help other people. I don't care what they think of me, if that makes sense. And so
I wonder how you got there.
Well, it was very easy. It for me, well, it wasn't easy. I'm sorry, but like that turning point, I know exactly when it was, and it's actually been closer to about what is it? So about 9 years. So I would say about 5 years ago. I got sick of reading the comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was just like, people can be real assholes,
Yeah.
And I was like, and I just decided, I'm like, okay, I can let this get to me, or I can like just be me and help the other people that want to be helped and that need my help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was a change. And it wasn't that people were horrible or anything like that, but it's just like, you got these what like keyboard coaches out there. And I'm just like, like they know nothing about me, my background, whatever. People just always feel that they need to comment. And I was like, I'm not going to get involved with that anymore. And that was when things changed. And I was just like, I don't really care what you say about me. I really don't. All I care is what we're doing here in GMB helping you or not. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And so, and that's really what it changed for me. And so that's why now I just can be myself. So, I mean, influencer, yeah, people are mentioning that to me and I'm like, great, that's really cool. And I do feel that I do have a responsibility to do that in a way that's positive and helpful for people. And so that's like, if you look at my Instagram or, Facebook or something. So this is an interesting thing too, is, I own an internet company.
Yeah.
I actually hate being on social media. I hate it. Except for the fact, like with you, I get to meet you and we can, talk, mainly just me jabbing away. But like, there are some really great people, and, the opportunity to be on Instagram. I enjoy Instagram. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, just simply because it's gotten kind of weird and some things, but YouTube comments, But what I mean is, if you look at my Instagram account, I'm never going to badmouth a person. I'm never going to badmouth another person. I'm never going to comment about what I feel a particular person should be doing and how they should act, because I don't know that person, that's their prerogative and how they want to do stuff. So, I share some things about me in my life, and hopefully that can inspire other people to do things. But again, I'm not trying to tell people how to do things. I'm just trying to, like I mentioned before, lead by example and saying, okay, I'm 46 years old, married with 2 kids. I live in a different country. I've had like way too many surgeries. I've learned a lot. I'm not perfect. I have to wear reading glasses now, but I can still move. I can still do the stuff that I want to do, and I'm just trying to enjoy my life. And if I can be an inspiration and help you to do the things that you want to be doing, cool. Let me help you. That's really is for me. So I never started out wanting to be the coach or guru. Or, we hate that word. I'm not a freaking guru. Okay. I don't even like being called coach. It's Ryan, and it's like, I'm just a dude, who happened to be doing this stuff, and I just want to help other people. So really that's in my life right now. It's a little bit different. I guess you could say, as you get older, you kind of hit that point, and I'm kind of at that point in my life where it's more about service, if that makes sense, in terms of like, I'm not saying I'm done with where I want to go with my life, but now I'm really more focused on how I can be more helpful to other people. And once again, kind of babbling, but this is a topic though that I get asked every once in a while. And you're such an influencer, and I'm like, ooh, hold on just a second. That's great, but that wasn't my main goal for doing this. So.
Well, for
Anyway,
what it's
yeah.
worth, yeah. I mean, I think the title, until I heard it framed, to use your expression, in a way that made sense to me, which was, authors in the 17th century were influencers, influencing
Yes.
people, inspiring
Yes.
people. So
Yes.
to the extent that definition applies, I think you're a wonderful influencer.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
I want to ask you about your growing up and your kids growing up. Like, you grew up in Wichita, Kansas, which my grandmother was Miss Kansas City Pepsi Cola back in the 1930s something, by the way.
Way.
Cool, right?
Wow. That's very cool. Yeah.
And then your kids are growing up in Japan. You grew up in Kansas. Like, with exception to the context difference of internet, no internet, and all these things, like, what are some of the context differences that play to your advantage versus theirs, and vice versa?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a big thing that my wife and I talk quite a bit about. So me growing up, I was outdoors all the time. I mean, pretty much. I was, Boy Scout, Eagle Scout. When I wasn't doing gymnastics, I was outside playing. We come from a generation. I don't know how old you are, but like for me, I grew up, remember, on my Hot Wheels, or not my Hot Wheels,
36.
but like my, say again?
36, yeah. I'm 36.
Okay, 36, yeah. So 10 years apart, yeah. And so growing up, still we didn't wear helmets when we're on our bike and stuff like that. So it was like, climb trees and jump in the creek or the creek, depending on where you're from, So like, that was me. And I was either going to come to Japan or I was going to go into mountain rescue. That's basically what I wanted to do. I wanted the outdoor side of things. So that was like, so I was kind of like, all right, I can always go back, and do the rescue or the mountain side of thing, but the opportunity to go to Japan, I should try and do that, end up staying, right?
Yeah.
So like, I still have that in me. And if you look at my Instagram, you'll see like every week I'm out there hiking and, I'm out there in the outdoors. I'm very much into orientation, land navigation,
Cool.
Survival, not a prepper or anything like that, but like just, the survival sense of like being able to go out and just drop me anywhere. I want to be able to like handle it. And I'm talking not just outdoors, I'm talking at any city in the world or whatnot. And so the language side of that also is huge with me, the communication and being able to handle yourself. So really for me, it's not just about one thing, it's about being a kind of a complete person. And that's why language is important for me. Communication, being able to adapt, being able to understand situations, situational awareness, being able to handle yourself in certain circumstances, very important to me. And so what I'm getting at is, if we're to look at where my kids are growing up right now, we live in the safest country in the world. Like hands down, very different from how I grew up, in a sense. I remember fighting. I remember, being in certain circumstances in certain places where you're like, holy shit, I really shouldn't be here right now. But you kind of, even though I come from a smaller town, having, lived all over the world and traveled and stuff, you get that street sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
My kids don't have that. So this is something that I don't want to say bothers me, but it's something that I'm always trying to work with my kids. Okay. I don't force my kids to do anything. We play games. We do things like one thing when we get on the trains here, we'll get on the train and then later I'll say, okay, what color was the jacket of the person that was standing directly behind you or something like that. And so just trying to make these games so that they think, oh, it's a game kind of thing, but actually creating and helping them with situational awareness, just being aware. We're finally going on a family vacation that we've been waiting for like 3 years to go on. We're going on next week. And the kids know that, okay, this is not Japan. And so this week we've been reviewing things. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't just go off by yourself. If this happens, this. It's not being paranoid. It's again, like situational awareness and things that you don't know that the kids aren't used to, trying to help them. So the other thing too is what you mentioned as well. I come from Kansas, which is not a huge, metropolitan area, Wichita, to one of the largest cities in the world, which is absolutely bonkers. Just crazy amount of people, information overload, just intense. Yeah. And I got to be honest, it drives me crazy. Yeah. And the only reason that I'm still here in Osaka is for my family. That's it. Because if it were up to me, I'd be gone like many years ago. Anyway, different story. But thing is I think it's very good that my kids are getting this exposure to being in this sort of city. And the thing is this, I'm not trying to cram things down their throat and think that they need to study something or be a particular way. Because if I can do it and have both, then I know that they can do it as well. Yeah. Language is the same thing. My kids understand English, but they don't speak English at a level that's very high at all to be able to communicate what they want. A lot of people tell me, they're like, that's irresponsible of you. You're a native English speaker. Why can't they speak English? Well, for one thing, we live in Japan. No one speaks English, okay? I'm just like, they're Japanese, great. They're phenomenal, whatever. Yeah. The other thing that I think is too, I speak multiple languages. I learned that later in life. If I can do it, then my kids are going to be able to do it too. And so what I'm kind of getting at is like, it's always going to be different as we move, into, 2020, 2021, 2030, things are going to be increasing even at a faster pace for what we're used to. Yeah. I think it's very important to have multiple experiences and to allow children to grow up the way that is going to be good for that particular area that they're in. With that being said, we're actually looking at moving somewhere else with the family, because another thing with GMB, which I'm very lucky, is I don't need to be in one place. We're an internet company, which means I can literally live anywhere. That's what we're going to be doing. So that's something, to kind of get where I'm going here, is that very happy that we're here in Osaka. They have this experience. But what my wife and I are going to try and do is go to some other places so they can have other experiences and gain some knowledge, so that they can be well-rounded.
Yeah, well, it's a great opportunity to ask about education. I don't know anything about the education system in Japan. I have my own opinions here, but how do you feel about education and schooling and their trajectory with that, and just generally?
Yeah, so they go to a public school, which we think is great. A lot of people are like, why don't they go to international school, blah, blah, blah. Well, for one, I'm not going to pay $10,000, like a month. That's a little exaggeration, but I mean, like, might as well be that much,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Yes. I mean, they could go to a different school, private school, whatnot, but public schools are great. I want them to be kids. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Over in Japan, once they hit a certain age, and once they become junior high students, it's basically they start into the robot life, where okay, we got to start thinking about college. So you're going to go to school all day, and then you're going to go to cram school in the evening so that you can get into a good college, so that you can end up working for a company and be a robot the rest of your life. My wife and I are not into that.
Yeah.
We're not. We again want them to be kids. We want them to have as many experiences as possible. And to be honest, we don't want to decide and make decisions for them thinking, oh, you're going to be a doctor, so therefore this is what you're going to do. Yeah. We're trying to give them as many different experiences as possible so that they can become interested in something and so that they can move into what they want to be doing. If they don't go to college, we're perfectly fine with that. However, we do want them to have a skill. And so that is very big. My wife and I very much believe in that. So let's say maybe they don't go to college, but maybe they want to, I have no idea, have a sushi restaurant. Okay, great. Yeah. Well, then you should become an apprentice for the best possible sushi chef. I don't think call him a chef, but sushi guy or woman out there so that you can gain that experience, and it's going to help you to be able to be even better down the road. So that's what I'm really into. And so, same with me. I don't do things half-ass. When I do something, I want to learn as much about it as I can. Yeah. It's not a matter of me trying to be the best. I simply want to be the best I can for what I need and for how I want to be. And I want that for my kids as well.
Actually, that's one of my favorite topics you just touched on, is being the best you can. Like, talk to me about what your self-improvement journey is in relation to, parenting.
Yeah. And that's really good. That's a huge topic, especially in a multicultural, family. So this is what's different too, because there's sometimes where I might get upset for my kids doing something where my wife is like, why are you upset? And she gets upset and I'm like, why are you upset over that? It's a cultural thing. And so this also comes back to communication and having an understanding for each other. And this isn't just about culture. It's also about man and woman and that particular person's upbringing and their values and things like that. So, just because I do something one way, my wife knows that that's not the way that it's always done in the United States. Mm-hmm. And so as far as the way that we study and the way we do things is we're trying to always be open and say, okay, well, why did you do that? And then try and learn a little bit more about, okay, that's why Ryan did it, but it stems from this or this. And then, for example, if there is something that we completely don't agree on, then we'll be like, okay, well, let's try and figure out the best option for what's going on. And so as far as education for us, that's how it is. And so it's not that we're trying to look at mathematics or something like that. It's more along the lines of trying to look at communication and the reason behind why certain decisions are made, and then trying to think about what is going to be good, not just for us, but for our kids, as, having two cultures, for some of the other things that we're hoping to do in our lives. So very different than what my wife is going through right now, that her friends are, because her friends right now, seriously, it's ridiculous. They're like, why aren't you putting Sienna is my daughter. Mm-hmm. Why aren't you putting Sienna in cram school right now? Why would you not do that? Yeah, that's ridiculous, and it's tough because my wife and I are very adamant about, we're not going to do that. We're,
So is that kind of like a cultural pressure, like most people
very much do this? Very much. That's how it is. That is how it is. Why would you do anything different? The martial arts side of things too is what is like that as well. Judo. It's like, well, this is how we've always done it. Therefore, this is how we're going to do it. Yeah. And it's not until a couple of years, it's starting to change. So like you see judo guys now, high level, very, very high level judo guys now studying Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Like cross training sort of thing. And, like little things like that. Like, why would you do that? Anyway, but it's tough. I think, raising kids is so difficult. Mm-hmm. And again, we don't have all the answers. We're still learning. even Jarlo and Andy, we do it very differently. We don't tell each other how we think we should be doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's not my position to tell Andy how I feel he should raise his kid.
Yeah.
So
what impact has having kids made on you? How
Oh
did
my goodness. Oh my goodness. I never thought I was going to get married.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get married, and I never wanted to have kids. Both of those things have been the best thing for me ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I was so high strung. I was like, martial art. Yeah. I will tie you in a pretzel. Having kids has actually taught me restraint. And I will say, even, people who are listening to this who know me really well, they're just like, dude, even up until a year ago, you're freaking intense, man. And yeah, I apologize. But the thing is like, truly, looking at my kids, and sometimes, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes, this is going to sound horrible. You want to strangle them. You're just like, okay, you're done. You're done living in this world. You will cease to exist right now. But of course you wouldn't, hopefully. Yeah. But it's just like, seriously? Did you just freaking do that? But then you got to do the old, okay, I'm going to calm down. So the one thing that I'm really, my wife and I talked a lot about this. And so over the past, I guess it's been a year and a half now. So our big thing was, okay, we're not going to get angry at the kids unless we really need to.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, man, that is the hardest thing that I think I've ever done in my life. I've gone through some pretty hard training and been beaten down, but man, trying not to get angry at my daughter when she's being a little bitch. I tell you what, man, but it's great. And so it's one of those things too, where, even just last night, I remember I'm just like, all right. So she just lost it. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, I'm going to try and be zen here for a second. Just take a step back, and I'm just going to listen to her, and then we're going to try and talk about it. And it actually worked out okay. Instead of me just being like, you need to calm down. You know what I mean?
Well, I got a 5-year-old girl. Yeah. So
boy,
what am I in for in the next 6 years?
I don't even know if I should tell you that, just because girls, it's wild, man. And I mean, having my daughter, she's me. It is a little me right there. Yeah. And I feel so bad for that girl. I tell you what, my son is a little version of my wife, which is a really good thing. But yeah, man, I think girls, it's one of those things where it's like daddy's little girl. That's just how it is. Oh, and they're so cute and they're just wonderful. But my daughter's at this age right now where you hit that point where it's daddy's stinky, his clothes I don't want washed. I don't want my clothes washed with daddy's clothes anymore. No, don't hug me. No, but why didn't you hug me? It's like, holy crap. You know what I mean? And so, I get it. I work out all the time and I know I stink and all this stuff, but wow. It was just like, it just kills you.
Break your heart.
You gotta, it does. Break your heart. But then you got to understand, okay, she's growing up. It's totally cool. And you just got to just try and be the best. And there's certain things where like, why does she get angry about that? And you got to understand, well, she's a little woman. Yeah. And then when I tell myself that, everything's cool. And anyway, so that's what you're in for, man. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to love it.
I got a 4-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl. They'll be that age in September. And every other night, my wife and I switch reading books.
Oh yeah.
We just flip flop every
awesome.
Single night for 2 years, or for as long as they've been around. Every single night, and every single night, the one that I read to is devastated.
Yep.
Oh, mommy's got to read me the book.
No,
it ripped my heart out for a year, and now I don't care at all. And it just sucks for you. Dad's going to read you a book, and it's going to be horrible the whole time.
That's exactly how I do it too, man. And I think all dads out there, once you get it, you're just like, that's how it is.
And then after you read the book, they give you a hug and a kiss goodnight, and they're perfectly happy.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the big thing for me though was last year when my daughter was like, Daddy, I need an iPhone. Now I was just like, no, I'm like, you're not even getting a phone, like kind of thing. But yeah, little things like that growing up. And then I can just see, coming down the road, hey, Daddy, I need a dress for prom. And I was just like, no, I don't want to know that you're dating, any of that kind of stuff. So
yeah, in the car.
I don't know. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Ugh.
Well,
Now, kids are great though. I tell you, it's thanks, my wife has really allowed me to learn more about myself, especially my faults. I have a lot. But, the communication side of things, hopefully getting better. I still have trouble, of course, but kids, though, a whole different other kind of communication, right?
Yeah.
And having staff as well, in a company and trying to do that. I'm lucky. I don't manage anyone anymore at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that. I focus on the programming side of things and coaching and creating and things. So I'm very lucky with that. But during the time that I was managing people, oh my God, so difficult.
Yeah.
I just, managing is not my thing at all. Yeah. But I'm really glad I went through it because it taught me a lot about my weaknesses and things that I need to improve. And I've worked to try and do that. And it's helped me in my family as well with how I deal with the kids and my wife as well. So it's really interesting. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump into I ask all these questions to every person that I interview, kind of sort of rapid fire, short answer question.
Cool.
So
cool.
The first one I'll ask is, what is your greatest hope for your children?
That they find something that they really love and are able to continue doing it and making a living at doing it. That's what I hope for.
Awesome. If you were writing a book about your life as a parent, what would be the name of some of the chapters?
Oh my goodness. How not to make a fool of yourself. And the next chapter would be how to make a bigger fool of yourself.
I need to
because I actually think if you can't laugh at yourself, then you're not enjoying life. Yeah.
Awesome. So I don't know that anybody will understand this answer if you don't have, I don't know, if you probably watch mostly Japanese television or movies. I don't know. Is there a favorite TV or movie dad that you have?
Oh man. I actually don't watch any Japanese stuff anymore. It just kind of drives me crazy. I used to, that's how I learned a lot of my Japanese, but I don't watch any Japanese stuff anymore. Movies. Wow.
Favorite dad.
I'll give two kind of random things. So like one of my favorite movie is I think it's called in English, The Big Blue, Le Grand Bleu. It was originally a French movie, but it's The Grand Blue maybe is what it's called. It's about a free diver, Jacques Mayol, free diving. It's a pretty old movie. The guy from the movie, The Professional. Oh, actually, I think it's called something different.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Leon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, same guy. He's in that. It's an old movie. The Big Blue is maybe what it's called, but in French, it's Le Grand Bleu. I love that movie. And then this is my, completely different kind of movie. John Wick, man. I love those movies. And what I love about it is not the violence, but the fact, Keanu Reeves, he spent so much time learning these moves and I just love that. So every time I watch that, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen so many YouTube videos of behind the scenes with Keanu, and everybody has good stuff to say. I asked the question poorly. Who's your favorite television or movie father?
Oh, father. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. I would say Steve Martin in what was that movie? The
Parenthood, Father of the Bride.
Yes, Father of the Bride, like Parenthood, Father of the Bride, Steve Martin. It's like I remember watching that years ago and I thought it was a good movie, but not until I had kids and my kids started getting a little older did I just finally go, oh my God, that's it. I totally get that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So when do you feel the most love in your life?
Oh my goodness. I wouldn't say it's tough. I think when I feel the most love in my life is when my family's not hurried. And I think that's about it. And the reason I say that is because our lives are so fast paced. And I think everybody out there is probably the same. But I think it's when we're actually able all to like calm down. Yeah. And it's just chill. I think that is when the most love is. I wouldn't say it's a certain thing. I say it's a matter of us all being able to be together and be relaxed. So I think that's why I'm looking so forward to being able to be on our vacation next week, because I know that we'll be able to be together and I have to worry about swim practice and all the other stuff that's in our life. And I'm taking off from work. I'm finally taking time off work. So we'll just be able to be. And so I think that'll be it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, if you had an opportunity to give a gift to every single father in whatever way, shape, or form, what gift might you give to every father?
Sleep.
Let's say, what's their major highway going through Osaka?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah,
so
there's
you got a billboard on this highway, and everybody going 100 miles an hour has to be able to read it. So what advice would you give to all dads that would fit on that billboard?
Breathe. And because you only have like a chance to just look at it, I would say breathe, because I think that so many of us are like, and they just, exhale, I think might be what I would say. Yeah.
I love it. All right. So this will be my last question to you. But first, let me thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's awesome talking to you.
Thanks for letting me ramble. Yeah.
No, yeah. Tell me your website.
Yeah. So it's gmbfitness.io. And so you just, any of the social media, whatever, just type in GMB Fitness, will pop right up.
Yeah. All right. So my last question, in the event that this recording lasts forever, what message could you give to your kids and their kids and the kids and their kids, 15 generations Hurst?
Move more and explore more. That's what I would say.
I love
Move
that.
more, explore more.